Well, it's Zoe and welcome back to another video on my channel. If it looks like I'm in a bathroom, it's because I'm in a bathroom, but the lighting here is not that bad, and so please just excuse the toilet. Anyways, today I am filming the most anticipated budgeting video. I've gotten a lot of comments and questions on budgeting in Taiwan, and so now I'm going to film it for you all. So I hope that this video is helpful for you and that I wish you the best of luck budgeting in Taiwan. Okay, so for the Fulbright program, we were paid about 12 to 1300 USD a month. And for New Taipei, our rent was ranged from 8,000 to 14,000 NTD. And then Taipei's rent is also going to be on the more expensive side. But for the other counties, more rural counties, their rent was maybe 3,000 to 4,000 a month. So you can do the math on that exchange rate. So you always want to budget your time, budget to pay rent. A lot of times the landlords and landladies, they might ask for rent on the first of the month. That's the most common. Sometimes they'll ask for it on payday, so you'll get paid on August 15th. My landlady asked for rent on the 10th. So sometimes we would pay it early and sometimes we would pay it like right on time. So what I did, because I like to save money, is every month I got paid, I took out 10%, I withdrew from the ATM, and I put it aside. I put it out of my eyes so that I would not spend it. If I don't see it in my bank account and I don't see it in my wallet, I know that I can't spend it. And then by the end of the grant, I had almost an entire paycheck saved up by the end of the grant because it was 10% each month. And then you always want to make sure that you have enough for rent. So if your rent is at the beginning of the month, that's pretty easy. If it's on payday, that's also pretty easy. So when I was budgeting in Taiwan, I always made sure I had enough for rent at the end of, near the end of my paycheck or near whenever my rent was due. And then for the rest of that money, so by that point I had about 1,000 USD left. I just budgeted that as what do I need, what do I want. So food and buying food is pretty cheap. I could get a whole meal for $4 at a 7-Eleven. So, in terms of eating, it wasn't that expensive. If you live in Taipei and you like to go to fancier restaurants, maybe it'll be a little more. It might be closer to $10 a meal. So it's really up to you and how you want to eat. If you want to eat more luxuriously, or if you want to eat more on budget. And then traveling is very, very cheap in Taiwan. For one, it's very easy to travel. They have a great transportation system, and tickets are honestly not that expensive. They're more expensive the closer to the day you are and the method of transportation. So usually the high-speed train is a little more expensive than the slower train, and if you buy them the day before, they're going to be a lot more expensive than if you buy them the week or 2 weeks before. So it's really up to you and how much money you have left, but I was always able to budget for a trip almost every weekend. There were some weekends that I stayed home or I stayed in Taipei because I needed to run errands, but other than that, I was able to spend my money on traveling and still be able to afford to eat in that city and to do things in that city, pay for the transportation in that city. So it is very affordable to be able to travel in Taiwan. Close to the end of that month is when my bank account was running low. And so that is when I had to be a little more frugal. I would not go shopping as much. I would try to eat at cheaper restaurants, and I would try to travel with larger groups so that the cost would be cheaper when we split it among us. And I never had to use my American bank account. When I first got there, we got that 26,000 move-in allowance. I did have to exchange some US cash, but that is because buying a lot of the housing stuff was kind of expensive, and I was really worried that I wouldn't have enough money before the first paycheck. So if you don't have a lot of money that rolls over paycheck to paycheck, don't fret about it. A lot of my friends got down to like 200 NTD by the time their paycheck came. So I've never had to use US dollars. A few of my friends have had to use US dollars. If you prefer US dollars, you can always do that. But I tried to stay away from my American bank account as much as possible because I wasn't working any kind of job that would put money in that account. So it would have just kept continuing to take out money. And I didn't really want it to do that, especially when I was getting paid. So I would say per paycheck, I went shopping maybe 1 or 2 weekends. I didn't really go shopping during the week because I would have had to take a really long bus to get into Taipei, and then I would have gotten home really late on a school night. So that is just my personal preference though. And when I did go shopping, I would maybe spend 100 to 200 USD each month to go shopping for like clothes or bags or just fun stuff. And then my friends really liked to go clubbing and to go to bars. So if that's the kind of thing you're interested in as well, it's about 700 NTD per club. That's usually like their entrance charge, and then sometimes that will give you free drinks, but sometimes drinks are separate. But also alcohol is pretty cheap in Taiwan. You can get something nice for like 10 US dollars, which would be more expensive in the US for sure. So I think that if you're good at budgeting and managing money, I think that you will be able to do it. You just really, I started out with a spreadsheet. I like made a spreadsheet before I left for Taiwan, but then I never ended up using the spreadsheet. So if you are a spreadsheet person, you can definitely use a spreadsheet. You can keep track of, you can subtract the rent and estimate how much money you're going to spend each month and then do it that way to see how much you have left over. But I really didn't do it that way. Every time I got paid, I would withdraw my 10% and then about 5 to 10,000 in cash, and I would keep that cash on me because in Taiwan you do mainly use cash, and especially since we usually got paid like close to a weekend, I would take that cash with me to Taipei and go shopping. So there were a lot of times where I owed people money or people owed me money and they would wait until payday to pay me. So sometimes that might happen. If you really want to buy something, sometimes you might want to do it like right when you get paid or right before you get paid, so that drains your account before you get more money. A lot of times if I was buying some big ticket items like a plane ticket, I would wait until after I got paid and then use my paycheck like the first day to buy that plane ticket, and then I would say, okay, I know that the plane ticket is bought, so the rest of the money in my account I can use for other things. So again, I think that it's pretty easy to budget in Taiwan. Spending is pretty affordable. You won't have all those charges you have in the US, such as gas. That's not really a charge here. Riding the bus, riding the MRT, all very affordable. Clothing prices are about the same as in the US if you go to the big chain stores. So a shirt is about, $10, $8 to $10. So, yeah, if you're good with managing money, you'll be fine. If you have had issues managing money in the past, I just recommend maybe keeping track, checking your bank account every now and then. Some of my friends did spend a little more than me every month, and sometimes they would ask to borrow money. Some people have comfort in lending money and some people don't. Don't feel obligated to say yes if your friends are asking you for money. If you're good at managing money and you want to, keep that to yourself, all power to you. If you feel like you can trust them enough to pay you back, then you can lend them money. But again, it's up to you. And again, I mentioned this in a few videos. I don't even remember which ones, but going to the doctor is pretty affordable as well. So if you feel like you need doctor's treatments or medicine or anything like that, you can definitely budget that into your paycheck as well because it is very cheap there. So that is pretty much all I have on budgeting. If you have any more questions, I'm happy to answer them. But again, I had no trouble at all. I would maybe get down to a few hundred by the end of my month and then, live a little more frugally. But I never felt that I was in a bad position where I needed emergency cash or anything, because if anything I could use my US Visa card. You should never be in a position where you are completely broke or go into the negatives unless you really like buying expensive things, but you're only going to be there for a year, and even if you're going to come back for a second year, you don't need to buy that much. You don't need to buy super expensive things. So yeah, just be smart with your money, be financially responsible. I know that can be hard because you're on your own, maybe for the first time after college, but I believe in you and I wish you all the best in budgeting your money in Taiwan. And again, if you have any more questions, feel free to comment them down below. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that this maybe helped you a little bit, and I'll see you all in the next video. Okay, bye.